Hi, my name is Theresa Helm, and I am a student of Lisa Wins at Holistic Horsemanship. I have known Lisa for, um, wow, 9 years? 9 years. So I've been a student of hers for 9 years. And she has helped me through a lot with horses and just in general. So I thought I would help her and see if I can contribute with some videos as well. I've been working for 6 years for the St. Louis Public School District, and I'm actually going to be switching to special school district, and I will be teaching a emotional behavioral disorder classroom. I focus my studies and learning on teaching kids how to self-regulate. Most of my kids have been through trauma, so they don't have self-regulation skills. So we have to teach those students who are dysregulated coping skills and the sort. So I thought I would kind of share with you guys practices that you guys might be able to use at home, since I know everyone is experiencing a great amount of stress and anxiety that they're probably not used to being dealt with, if you will, especially that I don't know how it is for every other school, but most of the schools are not returning for the rest of the school year, and I know that that can present some emotions that either parents or guardians and children, they're not used to feeling. What I have tend to practice with my kids and what I'm learning about as well and continuing to learn is mindfulness, which can be used in the classroom as well, and then different ways to help at home to reduce the stress and anxiety that you might be feeling. So when you think of mindfulness, if you're not familiar with that term, it's about being aware and being curious of what you're feeling and what your thoughts are in the moment. And I think it's okay to be able to acknowledge those feelings is really the first step. So like I tell my kids, being able to acknowledge whatever you're feeling is okay, and know that it's normal to feel what you're feeling, especially in this time when there's a lot of uncertainty and when no one has really ever gone through anything like we're going through. It's okay to feel whatever you're feeling, because there is not one way to say you should feel this way. So to be able to acknowledge the emotions that either a parent or guardian is feeling or a child is feeling, that is something that most people are not used to doing, and something that we as a society, I've always kind of felt that we should work on, because once you're able to acknowledge the feeling, then you can start processing and use different coping mechanisms to help. And I wanted to interject, I am by no means an expert or any of this. I am just using some techniques that I have helped with my kids and also myself in general. So this also is going to help with the process along, and hopefully you guys can get something from it. So the first thing I want to talk about is mindfulness. When you think about that, you think, okay, well, maybe I don't like yoga, and I know a lot of people talk about mindfulness and yoga and mindfulness, and I don't really like listening to music, or that's really, I have to constantly go, and that's not my thing. We're in a different era, if you will, than what your normal day-to-day lives would usually look like. So there might need to be some alterations, if you will, to what your day-to-day life routine would look like, and that is, again, okay. I think the first step in shifting and hoping to reduce your stress or anxiety is first acknowledging the fact that I have this emotion and it's okay, even though I'm not used to feeling anxious or stressed or frustrated or sad or worried, but I am, and it's okay. because you are not the only person feeling that way. There are, I guarantee you, at least one other person that is feeling that way in this time right now. So the first thing I'm going to do, and this video is a little bit longer than the other ones, just kind of, I wanted to start from the beginning and work my way and introduce myself. We're going to do some introductions today and kind of background knowledge, and then I'm going to try to give you guys an activity to do, and I'll give you guys an activity almost every day that hopefully can help. And if you guys do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Lisa, and she can relay them back to me. When you guys are practicing your routines, your mindfulness routines, you want to set aside time. We usually do about 20 minutes, we say daily. So if you look at that for a school classroom, the breaks usually only last about 2 to 3 minutes long. So you're not really sitting and taking, an hour to do this, right? Because you guys do have other responsibilities as well. Kids, you have responsibilities. Parents, guardians, you have responsibilities. But you also want to listen to what your body is telling you. And if one day you need longer, you need to listen. And if another day, okay, I'm ready to go back, we're good. And the first couple times you might be doing this, you're like, okay, I think in order to get into this routine, I need to take a little bit longer. So in a school setting, what I would usually do is usually after transitions, so going from math to reading, we would do a mindfulness activity to switch our brains. Or if I felt my students were getting anxious or stressed, we would do a mindfulness activity. So when you're thinking about it, it should be about 20 minutes a day, and it doesn't have to be 20 minutes, that's it. It can be stretched out, maybe 5 minutes after you do an hour activity. Something else to think about is you need to, so the first thing is find out where you're going to do this. And I would suggest doing it in a place where you are the most comfortable at in your house, whether it would be outside or inside. So I am the most comfortable over by my plants, and I'm actually sitting on the floor because I like sitting on the floor, and you can't see, but I have my patio, and I love looking at the sunset. And I am also stepping away from where I usually do my workspace. So that allows my mind to kind of separate from this is work and this is now my time to slow down my brain and process what's going on throughout the day. So for teachers, that's a great way to, okay, this is where I'm teaching my lessons, now I'm going to go over here. Same thing with parents and guardians, and same thing with students. I do my work over here, and then my mindful activities or mindfulness activities, my self-regulation, they're going to go over here. So pick a spot. That's the first step, that you want to do this. And it's going to be the same thing every day. So another thing is you should be getting into a routine. That's very important, especially when we're trying to self-regulate our minds, is having a routine. And I know it is extremely hard at home when you aren't used to having a steady routine, especially if you're not used to working from home. You're used to getting up, maybe getting coffee, and then leaving. Kids, maybe you're used to getting up, brushing your teeth, leaving, going for school. But I do know for a fact you do have a routine at school, kids. And we need to honor that routine because it does help with our heads. So maybe kids, you could help your parents with a routine that you guys usually do at school. So maybe it could look like, okay, we get up, we still are going to brush our teeth, we're going to eat breakfast like we normally would, and then we're going to go ahead and start one of the activities that our teacher assigned. Go ahead and do that. Now we're going to go and do our mindfulness activity, and then we're going to go back to doing our work. and then continue on throughout your routine. And it should be Monday through Friday, should be a routine that's pretty consistent, and that should help eventually reduce some of the anxiety and the stress, because your mind is getting used to a routine, and that does also help with self-regulation. Another tool that we utilize in the classroom are visuals. So something I know that I've helped with working from home is I have made my own calendar. And I know that maybe parents and guardians, you guys can have your own calendar, and then kids, you guys can have your own calendar, and creating a visual for it so that way they can, okay, check, I did that, and now we're going to go through my day. So it's in a chronological order. You have your routines posted for your daily schedule, and then maybe a visual to go along with it. That could also help as well, self-regulate and reduce some maybe the anxiety or stress that could come about throughout the day. And I'm not saying it's going to completely reduce it, because different things come up throughout different days. One thing that you want to think about is when, especially if you're doing this for the first time, is when you're coming over to your space. I'm going to call it your safe space, because that's what I usually call it to my kids, is your safe space. Is you want to be comfortable, because you want your mind and your body, you want the ability to let it be open. Okay, you don't want to judge yourself when you're in that spot, and you don't want other people to judge you either. You want to do this so that you're acknowledging what you're feeling inside. So we set aside our space, our safe space, that's what I call it for my kids, and we picked the times that we kind of want to do it, maybe a time in the morning and a time in the afternoon. And then we're going to go ahead, and whether, if you want to do yoga, that's fine. I'm not going to focus on yoga too much, because I know that a lot of teachers probably have already suggested that idea. I'm going to try to focus on some other activities that you guys could do at home. But some of the things you want to think about is, if your mind is dysregulated, the point of this is to make it eventually regulated. So you can either close your eyes while you're doing them or keep them open. It's up to you. It's what you are comfortable with. Sometimes you want to keep them closed. Sometimes you want to keep them open. Again, whatever you're comfortable with, because again, this is your time. And parents and guardians, just acknowledge the fact that even though they are little guys, they're still human beings, and they have emotions as well. So we need to acknowledge that fact too. When you're doing this inside your head at first, and even just in general, again, our society as a whole, our mind's constantly racing. We want to try and turn our mind off, which is easier said than done. So even though we could have judgments or thoughts that come across, try to let them roll by and keep going, and set that aside for later. And you don't want to judge yourself for thinking a certain way. So that kind of tied into the first fact, is saying, okay, I am feeling anxious. And, we could judge ourselves and saying, you know what, I shouldn't feel anxious right now. I don't ever feel this way. I'm usually fine. I'm usually great. But just know that this is different. It's something that most people are not used to, because we've never dealt with this before. So don't judge yourself to the thoughts that pop into your head. And if you want to relay them out loud with the people who are in your safe space, so for example, let's say mom and your brother and your sister are there with you. If you want to share them out loud, that's okay. But then we also need to make sure that if we're sharing them out loud, the people around us are being respectful of what we're saying. So that's something to set up too. Parents and guardians, maybe you can help me with that. Just say, we want to be respectful of that, and be respectful of the fact that, Billy is feeling sad because he might not see his teacher until next year. Or Mary is getting kind of upset because she's not understanding this math problem, but we're all going to help her together. Something along the lines of that. Or mom and dad, the best way to do this, and parents and guardians, the best way to do this is to model it to your children. So I'm going to go first. I am feeling very sad that I will not be able to see my kids again because I'm not going back, and that makes me very sad. And it's a normal feeling to have. And even though I usually don't feel sad, I'm feeling really sad today. And then let the thought keep going because we're going to process that later. So if your mind keeps going through the thoughts, you're going to recognize that it's there, and you're going to let your mind wander, and then gently bring your mind back to the place where you need to so you can self-regulate. Okay? So again, I am picking my spot. It's going to be the same spot that you want to stay in. And again, it can be outside or inside. I'm doing one inside today because I'm a little cold. So I want to go inside, and this is going to be the spot that I want to. I would suggest to do it from a different space than what you're used to working so that your mind can kind of separate itself. You want it to be as quiet as possible if you can. I know sometimes it can be a little hectic at home. Try to get it as quiet as possible. Maybe put some headphones on your ears. You want your safe space to be a respectful place. So if you are wanting to share your feelings, that's okay. Acknowledge the fact that you are having these feelings and it's okay. Acknowledge the fact that you don't need to judge yourself, because there is somebody who I guarantee you is probably feeling the same way as you are. And then we can start. I would suggest sitting up for this, because when you lay down, your body is in a completely different state. So if you can sit up, I would suggest it. I would suggest sitting crisscross applesauce. Kids should know what I mean. If you want to do a yoga pose, that's fine. Or if you want to do some other type of sitting position, that's fine. Just make yourself comfortable. So the first thing I'm going to show you and the last thing we're going to do, and we're going to close out for today, is we are going to do, and I actually just learned this technique, and I find it very helpful. And you can actually use this technique in a public setting if you get anxious out in public, or students in the classroom when you guys go back eventually next year. You can use it if you're starting to get anxious or stressed out from a test, because it's something that you won't see and you can hide pretty easily. So we're going to go ahead, and like I said, I just learned this in class because I still go to class and I learn things so I can apply it to my classroom. So you put your hand up, and if you're extremely anxious or stressed out, and again, your eyes can be closed or open. I'm going to open them. You start by putting your finger down here, and we're going to breathe in and out. Breathe in, going up your finger, and out. Breathe in, going up your finger, and out. Breathe in and out. Going down your finger. And then breathe in and out. I like this one again because you can do this actually in public and no one has to see you, right? So you can put your hand kind of down and do it. It's something tangible. So if you are getting extremely stressed out or anxious, you can hold on to something, and that actually does usually help calm the body. and you're also helping with your breathing, and it doesn't make any more noise, and it's something pretty fast that you can work on. So I'm going to conclude the day. I hope you guys have a great Friday, and I will have something for Monday since that's the start of another school week. Something fun that I might suggest that I've also seen people do just to kind of switch the days up is during the weekends, maybe just one day or one meal, the family could have a nice meal and dress up, or something fun is they could dress up in their favorite characters and they have to come to the dinner table and play their characters. Just something fun to kind of mix things up so that we're not in the same mundane, day, every single day. Like I said, I will be posting other activities you guys can do at home. And again, this is for parents as well, parents and guardians. I would actually suggest you guys do this first, because the biggest way to help our little guys is by modeling. We model, and then we gradually release to them, but we model so they can see us doing it appropriately, and then that they know that they're safe and being respected. But at the same time, it's important to know that parents and guardians, you're human beings as well. We're going to experience some different emotions that we normally might not. Same thing with the little guys. If you're not used to feeling a certain type of way and you want to talk about it, they're human beings as well. So try the hand. Try the hand. Remember, you're going to start here, and I'm not going to do the whole thing, just one. You breathe in, going up, and then breathe out. And then you keep going till the very end. All right, have a great day, guys. And like I said, if you have any questions or if there is an activity that you want me to really focus on, I will be more than happy to bring that up in one of our videos. Just ask Lisa. Have a great day.